Welcome to Good Boys Gone Bland, Season 8, Episode 2, Evolution. I'm your co-host, Denali.
I'm your co-host, Ryan.
I've lost an hour of sleep. Bullshit.
What's your name?
Jace.
It is Jace.
I was thinking how lost an hour of sleep would just not work as a name, and
I'm lost an hour of sleep. We all did, Jace, though, so that doesn't help.
Yeah.
This will be old news by the time it gets to, I think, our podcast listenership. But we are living in the era of, daylight savings time. We lost an hour of sleep because it's spring right now, and it's a terrible thing. I heard we lose like $1 billion a year just in like lost productivity, if you care about that, or in just like accidents that happen just because of the 1 hour of sleep. It's just like a shitload, like more car crashes happen and like planes drop out of the sky and stuff.
You think we should just like gain an hour every year?
Yeah. Gain sleep every year.
And then never lose it. And then after 24 years, we'll be back where we started. No biggie.
Holy shit,
Businesses
Ryan.
Businesses can just like adjust their business hours. You know, be open like 8 p.m. till 4 a.m.
You'd have a dark generation in there that would be like, my waking hours are during the night.
We need to start introducing this into society.
That is
generations
so smart.
that are a little more nocturnal.
Yeah. I mean, time is just a construct anyways. We can do whatever we want. Like, why are we listening to stupid-ass Julius Caesar when in his fucking year 100 ass? Why can't we
what
just
if
make up our
aliens
own
attacked
shit?
at night?
Exactly,
There'll be nobody awake to defend us.
Oh, wait, so we're talking about different things. Like, we should introduce another group of people who are on a nighttime clock? I thought we were talking about adding an hour of sleep.
We are going to add an hour of sleep, but eventually in 12 years from now, we'll have night people that aren't, us and grouchy. Like, I remember when daytime was during the day.
And you're like, shut up. How would that even work? Everybody would be tired.
I mean, we could just, we can put thrusters on the Earth. So that way it spins slower every year.
That's a good one.
Ooh.
Yeah, and then we gain an hour of sleep.
It can be coupled with our meteor defense.
Oh, yeah. Well, we were talking about previous
making the Earth a little more agile.
Yeah.
Like a
keep it on
dodgeball.
Yeah, Earth has been like kind of like a chin build, like for boxers, where they kind of take hits and they're like they tank it. But I think Earth can glide. I think like Muhammad Ali style. I feel like we can train
a little
Earth
more
to
float like a butterfly, a little bit less sting like a bee.
Yeah. And I do think we can up the offense on Earth a little bit too. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
Maybe designate it like one patch, probably Antarctica. Let's be real. Put a metal dome, and that's like its attack corner where we can smash. If we need to aim it towards another asteroid or a moon we don't like, we can just boom,
like double bounce it almost. Wait, hold on. We've had this conversation. We've literally had this conversation.
We're recycling content.
Hey, that reminds me. Okay, is this evolution? This week we watched Evolution. Is it an end of the world movie?
Yes, it is. It is. So is the last one. They're both end of the world movies. Humanity has been threatened.
How could we do a season of Seann William Scott end of the world movies?
Well,
what's Goon about?
Yeah, I think we could. I think he's in a couple of these dang things. Also, we should probably mention we're on episode 2 of our Seann William Scott season. We're deconstructing the great works of the greatest actor of our time, Seann William Scott, 2000s icon and current character actor. We watched Dude, Where's My Car last episode, and we watched the great movie Evolution. And this movie kind of got me thinking. We talked about this last episode too, about Sean and the role he plays as like a supporting character, right? He's like kind of like a support lane in League of Legends, where he like provides debuffs and like
Let's not make a League of Legends
helps
analysis.
the other.
Let us make it a League of Legends.
No,
like League of Legends has like a dragon in it. And
we already had an
anime
episode last season.
Yes. We got to keep them, Ryan. We got to keep the fans we made from the anime episode.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to be attracted more of that.
Well, unfortunately, you haven't made the website, so you don't get to call the amount of fans and the type of fans that we have at the moment.
That's right,
so.
Ryan. Make the site, and then we can gatekeep. Seann William Scott. He's like Blitzcrank, you know. He ropes things in.
I don't.
He helps the ADCs deliver information in the movie.
Actually, I'm upset that I do.
The ADCs being David Duchovny in this movie.
He's got huge hands.
He's got huge fucking hands.
Can we talk about Bionicles instead?
Kaimi sent me a video of him at a thrift store, and they had a Bionicle movie.
Now we're
DVD.
Talking.
Seann William Scott was in a thrift store?
Kaimi.
Oh.
You're right. Okay, go back to regaling us with League of Legends information.
Okay. Well, I was just going to say...
name
Seann
one new champion. Yeah. Or are
new champion?
Or are you thriving off... Don't look at your fucking computer.
I'm not looking at anything. Name one new champion. So champions are like the heroes, right?
Uh-huh.
In League of Legends.
I feel like...
Why aren't they called legends?
You picked...
Oh, well, I mean, if I... Off the top of my head is probably Milio, who is a boy with a bag. And Nafiri, who is a big dog. And then that character video just played at full volume in my headphones, and my eardrums are exploded right now. Anyways, Seann William Scott, he's a great supporting actor. Is what my whole fucking point is, right? Like, I
guess.
Yeah, like, do you
He's
guys
like
agree?
The field goal kicker for an NFL team.
Yeah,
you gotta have him.
Yeah,
you gotta have him. No one really appreciates him
until he's on screen.
Until the end of the game.
Mm-hmm. Right.
The game. And then people usually blame the field goal guy for fucking up the game when it's actually like the team's fault.
They're down like 34-5.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, if he made the one thing. And it's like, well, if you guys had played a little better, maybe you wouldn't be in that position relying on this poor guy to do it. And maybe we should think about that with Seann William Scott movies where he's the supporting actor. Like, maybe it's not his fault when sometimes his scenes don't work out.
I'm totally on board. And that's why I didn't want to be so hard on Dude, Where's My Car? Because I was like, guys, if we're not high on this. I mean, this is like his most famous movie.
Yeah, I mean, our concerns with Dude, Where's My Car wasn't with, I think, the quality of the comedy. It was more of the content of the comedy. I do admit it was pretty funny. And in this one, it's interesting seeing him take a step back. You know, he's in the back seat literally in this movie. And he's supporting these two more major characters and upholding sometimes separate comedic scenes. Because I was wondering for a lot of this, I'm like, is this like a Power Rangers like situation where you have those like this bumbling idiot in the background that's not really relevant to the story, and he's just trying to pass his fireman's exam?
Right. But he's important. And he's smart. He's an idiot, but he's smart enough to like connect dots.
Yeah.
And say, oh, those scientist guys probably want to know about what I'm dealing with because I found information that's like weird. What I liked about him in this movie is he was always like trying to help, and he felt bad when he failed. And that's something you don't see in a lot of, comic relief characters. They're just kind of like there to be shit on. Like the other two the two kids who were failing the class, they were kind of just there to be made fun of.
Those guys are like the Power Ranger duo.
Right. And Seann William Scott is actually contributing. He's a character. He gets his own scenes. There's entire Seann William Scott scenes where like the other main actors aren't in them. He's got his own plot line.
Yeah, I agree. He does, yeah. Real quick, can we suggest calling him Swiss, like SWS? Because Seann William Scott is a lot for the name. Should we call him Sean?
How about Sean?
I like Swiss, and I feel like that's not going to be confusing.
Swiss is kind of...
It's cool.
It's kind of good.
I bet you if he was a sports guy, like if he was like Swiss is a sick sports name.
Now, I don't want to give you too much credit because I think that's a killer nickname.
Yeah,
I think it might be confusing.
Yeah.
If we don't explain the nickname every single episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's not like we don't do that already with like 90% of our content anyways. We're carrying shit over without explaining. And like I realized this when Ryan Ball came on for our guest episode. And he was like, what the fuck are deli dudes? And I was like, oh no. Like, because he's listened to all of, like, a lot of the episodes.
Ryan really hasn't talked to me since that episode aired. So I almost wonder if it ruined our relationship.
I think it ruined his life.
It might have been the edit, too, because we totally turned him into a moron.
We did. We really beefed his edit bad. And I kind of did it on purpose a little bit and hoping that he would reach out. I was thinking about this movie, it's Oscar season right now. Like, Oscars are going to come out tonight, and we don't know, what the results are, so we can't spoil anything for our audience. Do you guys think this movie would have been nominated for anything?
Why'd you say would have? Did it?
We don't. Do you know if it's been nominated? Because I don't think any of us know for sure.
I'm pretty sure I know for sure.
I feel like it would have gotten like best puppet actor because the alien dog was pretty good at acting.
I thought I actually liked the aliens. The design of them were pretty cool.
Pretty cool. I mean, like Suicide Squad won an Oscar for their makeup and like costume department.
Huh.
And that's kind of the joke is that they won more Oscars than Citizen Kane. You can have shitty movies that win Oscars. I'm not saying this is a shitty movie yet.
Citizen Kane sucked.
Yeah, you
it's
guys
no
ready
evolution.
You guys ready to fucking squash this beef right now?
Yeah.
You guys like Citizen Kane? That movie fucking blows.
Wait, is Citizen Kane the one with red rum or whatever?
No, that's The Shining.
That's Shining.
Oh,
But you're
not
thinking
red
of it.
rum,
You're thinking of the
red.
right.
Yeah.
It's a different word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Rosebud.
Fuck that movie.
If you can't tell, we're
Fuck
a
Rosebud.
movie critic podcast.
We're a movie
that
critic.
Should know things about possibly the best movie ever.
You know what? They should change that Rotten Tomatoes score to 98 because you got another group of reviewers
Didn't
here
they?
that's giving it a negative review.
Didn't they
That was
already?
99 because it was
Oh, it
100
was
for a
99.
while,
Okay,
and they
yeah.
uncovered the old review. But change that shit to 98 because we got skin in the game. We're not just some randos, all right? We're 3 years
We've
deep.
reviewed 70-something, 80-something movies.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
might be 90-something right now. Jesus
Boo,
Christ.
sucks. No color. Stupid sled. I hate it. Not even funny. 0.
Yeah, they shot it in black and white, idiots.
I'd rather watch Aiden of Evangelion.
No fucking world building. Have you guys ever had leftovers that like went really moldy? They're kind of in the back of your fridge, and you don't want to like deal with the moldy leftovers yet. So you
Yeah, I've performed some science experiments.
what's your worst one?
So in one of my apartments, we had this situation where everything in our cupboards was like all the bread.
Yeah.
It didn't look moldy at all, even like bread that only been there for like a week. But when you ate it or pulled it apart, you could see like looked like almost like hairs or like really fine filaments
Oh my god.
inside the bread. And we kept eating it, of course, because like it looks
Penicillin,
fine,
bro.
Well, we bought all our stuff from the same grocery store, so we thought maybe like it was a way they made the bread.
Yeah.
So it was all like made at the bakery. But I eventually Googled it, and they're like, yeah, that's called string mold,
Oh my god.
and it like invades everything through like spores.
That's like
It just
Last
grows.
of Us, dog.
Yeah, dude.
That's
And so
like
I've been eating that.
mycelium. It's a hole.
And then one time we had, not fungus related, but we had like mites eating everything, like all our dog food and everything like that. I've actually had that happen twice to me.
Oh. Well,
Getting in all our flour and stuff, like these
Yeah.
little bugs, and then they would grow up and turn into beetles. The worst time, they actually started
shit.
like maturing into beetles. And we found out it was coming from the box of dog treats that my dog never eats because my dog is fucking tiny. And so like we bought this like 300 dog treat box, and he ate like a tenth of it, and then the rest of it, these little mites had like burrowed into the dog treats and turned them into like honeycombs. But we never realized it because we never like got down into the box. And like this whole beetle infestation in our apartment had erupted from this like box of dog treats, and for months we had no idea where they were coming from.
For our listeners at home, the person describing this situation eats bagels in bed pretty frequently. So don't
And
be
sends us
alarmed.
photos. This is not a normal thing.
Yeah, that night that I sent you the 3 different photographs of 3 different things I was eating in bed, that was real time. Like I actually
You
ate.
can't eat this stuff in bed. It's not
I
good.
actually ate 3 different things in one sitting in bed, including scrambled eggs. I ate the 2 things.
Yeah.
And then I got up and I scrambled eggs and I came back to bed and ate them.
I'm less
I knew
concerned
you-
about scrambled eggs on a plate in bed than I am a bagel. I'm going to be honest.
Why?
Bagels can get crumbly.
Yeah, and bagels create sugars on your teeth, and your teeth will fall out.
I brushed my teeth after
Okay, good.
you gave me that lecture
Yeah, you
and
should.
sent me scientific journals on what I was doing.
That's good. That's good. Ryan, I knew you'd have multiple examples, so thank you. Jace, did you ever have rotting food?
I think, I don't know, one of you two might have been a
Yeah.
partner in the crime of this, but my mom will never let me live it down. One time we accidentally spilled top ramen on the ground in my house in
Yeah.
Alaska in high school. I think
Yeah.
Thomas was there for sure. And we vacuumed it up into her new nice vacuum and then forgot to.
Jesus.
So like we vacuumed up wet noodles and then like we were being a dipshit high schooler, so then we started like playing games or something and forgot about it. And then she went to use the vacuum and
Oh my
it was
god.
compacted noodle mold in a Dyson.
You have to throw it away. There's no saving it.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I mean, this the reason why we're asking is because in evolution, I feel like this is very relevant where they have like petri dish style things where things evolve. Just that really reminds me of it because when I throw out a moldy piece of food, I'm like, what kind of new organism am I destroying right now? Like, is there like a city in here? Is it like an Ant-Man colony where they have like fucking space travel and interdimensional shit and they know what's happening? Because I did have an experiment when I was really young where we took a slice of bread and put some dirt on it and put it in a plastic bag for school. And we let it sit there for like 3 days. And we see like all the mold in it. And it's cool. And you look at it with a microscope and it's awesome. But I lost my bag and didn't have anything. I had to borrow a lab partner's thing. Anyways, end of the year comes around, 8 months later. And I'm cleaning out my cubby. And I find the bag. And inside the bag, I think was literal shit. Like the bread turned into shit. Like the whatever was in there, I didn't know what it was at all. Actually, it was completely like brown and black, and it looked like beyond mold. It was like a teeming fucking city. It looked like Coruscant in there.
Mold 2.
Yeah, and I was like, my friend wanted to open the bag and smell it, and I just in my 9-year-old brain, I knew it would kill him. So I just grabbed it from his hand and threw it in the trash.
Remember who that was?
I don't remember who it was. I saved his life that day. And I remember the bag being warm for some reason. I don't know if that's true, but I think just the compost.
They probably invented, by that point, fossil fuel.
Yeah, I think there was
energy.
It was a steam colony.
Listen, some people in the mold community say we're poisoning our bag by burning the life. But we need to power our mold homes.
So yeah,
they invented lobbying. So you did the right thing by throwing them away.
Yeah, we had a restart. I mean, it's in a landfill now. It still might be
still
growing somewhere.
It's the same thing as like just bread thrown on the ground or bread thrown in the trash. It's the same process, just happening contained.
That's true, but I incubated it though. Like I incubated it in a 5th grader's like little cubby hole.
Mm-hmm.
And then
which is the grossest place known to humankind.
Yeah, and it had my grubby little fucking Cheeto hands all over the bread probably when I put it in.
That was the catalyst.
What would you guys do if you guys had access to evolution life forms in this movie?
What are you talking about?
Okay, these life forms, they evolve like 100 million years an hour or some shit?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what would you do if you had them? Like, you could train them to do stuff. Like, you could point their evolution using, like, different pressures. Like, you can make Pokemon for real. Like, you can like create these climates that makes a real Pikachus or something, you know? You can try hard, and you have, like, billions of chances because there's so many cells.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
This seems in line with the question about, like, what would you do if you had Emily Elizabeth's power from Clifford?
To make things huge?
Like,
yeah.
Is there a way the military could weaponize this?
You could make almost anything because you have an infinite time scale.
Right. Those dragons, dude.
Yeah.
The dragons were cool.
That just happened by itself. Like, I think dragons are natural to our environment.
Yeah. So wait, I don't understand.
We're talking pretty heavily about the movie right now. Should we just?
Oh yeah. I mean, we could
kind of. We don't have to.
Okay,
I just have a note about the dragon thing.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't know if it's safe to share
Go right now.
This port.
We're talking about the dragons.
The dragon thing, I think a lot of this movie suffered from we don't know what the CGI is going to look like yet. Because they kept calling it a fucking bird, but then they CGI'd a fucking dragon. And nobody would call that dragon a fucking bird.
I thought it was a dinosaur. I didn't even connect the dragon thing.
Yeah,
that's a good point,
I mean,
Chase.
it did look like a dinosaur dragon thing. But at any rate, it doesn't look like a bird. And the dog thing in the closet really didn't look like a dog to me. It looked more like a frog. And they're like, look at that little doggy. And it's like, until they got to they evolved into monkeys thing.
Yeah.
I think they were kind of like wheeling and dealing on the CGI. Like, oh shit, what are we going to do?
I think so too. But they did make them. They did make them caked up like crazy though.
Oh,
like
yeah.
all the creatures. And they got that right when people were commenting. They gave them big old cheeks.
I think we should start the movie.
You don't want to talk about what you'd make from the evolution things?
I thought I just did with the dragons.
I think they copped out early.
Yeah.
I think they could have waited another few weeks and had a sentient life form.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they tried to do.
And then they could have really gone from there. Like,
yeah, they really stalled on like the purple apes.
Well, I think they tried to do it.
Yeah.
And then they realized the CGI would be too bad. So they replaced, I read this in the trivia, they replaced what was going to be like a human-like giant person with the blob for the finale.
Oh, wait, yeah, I did read that because they were going to have a battle of wits with like an intelligent life form. and then they thought it was going to be too dumb, and they changed it to like the butthole starfish thing that they had.
Would the Battle of Wits still been resolved by squirting it with Head and Shoulders?
No, I think no, it was a totally different thing. They came up with the Head and Shoulders thing after the fact. Like it would have been like a chess game or something, or like some kind of outsmarting. But I think they decided it would be like too boring of an ending. We should. Okay, I'll get into the synopsis of the movie. We can just get into the movie discussion itself. I don't know if there's anything else intelligent we could say at this point. Okay, I picked this movie. It's Evolution. Came out in 2001. It's a modest box office success. They barely made their money back on this one. It opened number 4 in June 8th, 2001. Can you guess what opened at number 1 this weekend? This is something that opened that weekend.
2001: A Space Odyssey.
You're so close.
Planet of the Apes.
That'd be so stupid if they just named the movie after the whatever year it was. Like, wow, the year 2023. Planet of the Apes is close, but it is not correct. I'll give you a hint, though.
Star Wars 2001?
Which one?
Star Wars Phantom Menace?
That was 99.
99. It does have a animal in the name. It's about cybercrime. I don't think these hints are helping.
Space Wolf Investigator.
It's about firewalls. They're trying to steal money.
Eagle Eye.
It has Halle Berry in it.
Catwoman.
No, it's about cyberspace. Has John Travolta in it. Okay, now this is too many hints.
Dogman.
Pulp Fiction.
It's not Pulp Fiction. Do you guys give up?
The Shaggy DA.
Taser Chicken.
It is an aquatic animal. It is an aquatic animal.
Dolphins.
It's not Free Willy. Free Willy doesn't steal money.
I don't know. That's why he was in jail.
Wait, what'd you say, Jace?
Ocean's 11. Dolphin.
No, that's a really good guess. But there's no Ocean's 11 dolphins. Okay.
Dolphins.
11 dolphins. The biggest dolphin heist of all time. They're stealing.
Hold on. Don't tell us. Don't tell us.
1 million anchovies from the SeaWorld vault.
You said cybercrime in an aquatic animal?
Yeah, I'll give you.
Is it James Bond?
Shark?
No.
Shark
You're close,
Tank.
Jace. Hugh Jackman is in this, and Don Cheadle.
Huge Ackman?
Huge Jackman.
Why are you being... Yes.
Wolverine.
It is Wolverine.
Oh, X-Men.
It's not fucking X-Men. It's an aquatic animal movie. Okay, I'll give you another.
There's a frog, dude.
You people are idiots. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys.
We're usually really good at this game. We're usually
Ryan would have had it like 4 notes ago.
This is weird.
It's weird because
I'm usually really good.
This used to play on FX like every week when we were growing up.
It's not Waterworld.
It's not Waterworld. It's not Shawshank. There's nothing to do with aquatic animals.
Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
You're close.
Oh, what?
Okay.
Spy Kids?
Spy Kids
Take
2,
an
Treasure
aquatic animal and add a medieval instrument to it.
The Octopus Bard.
Is that a movie?
Blowfish Fire Cage.
Okay, just take that.
And the Blowfish. Lenny and the Blowfish, that band.
Hootie and the Blowfish, and no. Okay, but take the word blowfish and replace blow with something.
Pufferfish.
It's not pufferfish. It's a medieval.
Mrs. Puff.
Big Fish.
It's not
That's
Big
a good
Fish.
movie.
It's a good movie. It's a great movie.
Hold on. Wait, hold on. Like, what? Why do we not know this movie?
Just a fucking medieval thing that they use to kill with.
Swordfish?
A blowgun. A blowgun.
It's swordfish. It's fucking Jace. You got it. It's swordfish.
What fucking movie is
It
this?
opened number 1. It's a big
I've never
movie.
heard of that movie before in my life.
It's a heist movie with Halle Berry, John Travolta, Hugh Jackman, Don Cheadle. It's like a thriller.
I feel like you're describing X-Men.
It's like one of those cyberspace movies that was big in the 2000s where they're like,
Is this a Berenstein Bears situation?
No. It's made a lot of money.
I've never heard of it.
147 million in the box office.
No, I've literally never heard of it.
Yeah, they played it on FX all the time. I never watched it because it's one of those movies where they're like talking about how dangerous the internet is and how all these like cyber hackers are gonna collapse society, which might be true. Okay, guess number 2 though. This is in its. Okay, I'm not gonna do this forever, but like number 2, I think you're gonna get. This is on its 4th weekend, 2001. It's about a giant monster.
Godzilla.
And it's also medieval.
Reign of Fire.
No. Bigger movie.
Medieval giant monster?
Yeah, medieval giant monster. It's a bit of a fantasy.
Dragonheart?
No, you're close.
Is that nasty fucking movie with that big long ass dog that the kid rides?
It's what?
Never-ending story.
It came out 20 years before this. Nasty fuck. Okay, let me give you a hint. All right. What color do you turn when you're envious?
Green. Giant.
Okay.
Green bean.
Green.
It's a
Green goblin.
Smoking
monster.
that green.
A green monster.
It's in a fantasy medieval setting.
The green bean.
Shrek.
It's Shrek.
Shrek came out in 2001?
There's one more. Yeah, 2001. Wow. There's one more until you get to Evolution, all right? There's one in between these, and this is a Ben Affleck movie, all right?
Daredevil.
It's not Daredevil.
Paycheck.
It's nothing. Okay, we didn't watch it in our season, all right? This is on weekend 3, but it was I think it has Josh Hartnett in it. It's a love triangle.
Reindeer Games.
It's not Reindeer Games. It's a love triangle movie. Jennifer Garner's in it, and so is Kate Beckinsale and Alec Baldwin and Cuba Gooding Jr. It's a stacked ass cast.
I have no clue.
It's okay.
I have no idea.
It's a fucking historical drama. It was meant to compete with Saving Private Ryan.
Pearl Harbor?
Yes, Pearl Harbor. Jesus. You guys, we're just taking so many guesses. Normally you stump me in 2 guesses.
I don't know. They're the weird movies, man. Like, why was Pearl Harbor third?
2001, like shitty movies from a year when we were like 8 years old. It's just kind of...
Okay, the summer of 2001, not a lot of good ones, but then you kind of scroll down the list a little bit. You got A Mummy Returns, A Knight's Tale, Memento, Atlantis. Like, we got some bangers up in here.
Knight's Tale, a good movie.
Knight's Tale fucking rules, dude. I watch
that shit
4 through 10
is better than 1 through 3.
Yeah, but these are all like, weekend 13 movies. You can watch Mummy Returns eventually. Okay, here we go. This is Evolution, all right? This movie that came out. Big cast. After a large meteor strikes a small town in Arizona, 2 professors from the Glen Canyon Community College, played by Orlando Jones and David Duchovny, take it upon themselves to investigate. What they find, record scratch, is a space rock teeming with microscopic alien life that is rapidly evolving hundreds of millions of years within just a few hours. Hijinks ensue, and these life forms progress into larger creatures that begin to terrorize the town. Aided by a clumsy CDC director, played by Julianne Moore, and an overzealous fire department recruit, played by our own Seann William Scott, the professors use their scientific cunning to take on the invading aliens and produce their own extinction event, courtesy of Head & Shoulders. That is Evolution.
Did you write that?
Yeah, I did. I write sometimes I pre-write my synopses.
Yeah, I could tell because you said record scratch. And I was like, there's no way somebody...
Nod thoughtfully. Sarcastically, I'm the boss here.
Right. Yes, exactly.
So yeah, I mean, this movie starts out like with Seann William Scott in the first frame, right? Like he's kind of like in the beginning of this movie, and it doesn't start good because you have a lot of assumptions.
There's
right
probably
away.
The funniest start to a movie I think I've actually seen in a while.
Like, he's sticking
Denali, why did you not like the start?
I did like the start. It's just the like he's sticking a blow up doll into an abandoned shack, and you don't know what's happening here.
It's a 50-50 situation.
Yeah. And then you start seeing him put on a fireman outfit, and I'm like, okay, this is either some really deep, weird shit, and then he lights the building on fire, and I still don't know where he's going with this. And then he bursts in, and then it's revealed that he's like training for his fire department test, but all the way until he says, "I'll save you, ma'am," and kicks open the door, I had no idea what the fuck he was doing.
Yeah, I like this scene. I like that he was first.
Yeah.
And I like that he was the only person in that scene, so he had to carry it. And he had the
it was a blow-up
gravitas to do it. And they were like, "Hey, you're not the main actor, but we want you to open this fucking movie
and set the tone for this movie." Yeah. And also, like, he witnesses the cause of this movie. He sees the asteroid hit his car in a huge set piece. Like, it actually tossed that real car like 200 feet in the air, and he totally sells the scene.
Yeah, I agree.
Reacts huge. This is another one of those things where when he starts out in the movie with Seann William Scott, I'm like, he's so dumb that it's actually concerning. He has this like reaction where he thinks like this is the best way to go about training for the fire department exam, is saving his blow up doll. And I'm like, is he gonna be this dumb the whole movie? But I feel like they kind of like redirect a little bit. This kind of brings us to the intro to the characters with Orlando Jones and David Duchovny. Ryan, you say you're a David Duchovny fan?
Oh yeah.
Ugh.
We're a big double D house. I'm sorry. I didn't.
Yeah. No, it's okay. It's okay. I know. I know. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's. David Duchovny, or DD. That's fine.
DD.
You watched the X-Files, I presume, you know?
Yeah, we're big on him, and we're Twin Peaks fans as well. Yeah, he's a bit of an inspiration around the house, I say. I think about David Duchovny.
Yeah.
Probably 3 or 4 times a day.
Yeah. He does give Big Daddy energy in this movie, like we were saying off the chat. But like something about this dude, and Jace, you might relate to this, but like he gives this crazy smug energy in all of his scenes, and it's sometimes grating for me.
Why
like
would you say, Jace, you might relate to this?
It's because you were talking about this too, Jace.
Because he gives off that similar vibe?
Jace, you're a very smug man. What do you think about this guy?
Yeah, I texted you last night. I actually really enjoyed the introduction of his character. Like the opening monologue of like, they've set the stage that we're at a community college. And he's like, kind of like throwing his hands in there. He's like, I only make $17,000 a year. You guys all got A's. I don't have anything going on. And it's all pretty comedic. You get the 2 dipshits who write about their father being in a prison cell, I guess. And he gives them a C-. For some reason, their
pretty
essay.
Cool guy.
So for some reason, their essay is multiple pages thick and stapled together. And he's like, there was one paragraph. And I committed it to memory.
Did they write it over and over again and he was just terrified?
Maybe. Yeah.
That's what it seems like. I kind of thought like the rest of it, though, is maybe it was a script, but I kind of think that his performance was uninspired. Or like
it seems
it's really deadpan. It's like he's on.
That's kind of his vibe.
Okay.
Yeah, when he's a cocky, misunderstood person, he really thrives. Like if he's like not the mainstream guy, like Fox Mulder in X-Files, it's like he knows his shit, but nobody takes him seriously because he's only assigned to the weird cases.
Right.
And in this, he's kind of still got that same vibe. Like he's cocky, but he's too much of an everyday man. And those things, it's hard for you to like root for his character, who's an asshole. It's a bit different. The hierarchy in X-Files is a little different.
Yeah, I couldn't tell in this movie if he was like phoning it in, but then like there were certain moments in the movie where I feel like he was actually committing, like when he slaps his ass against the windshield for the U.S. General, and there's certain moments where he's really bringing the comedy. So I'm like, maybe he wasn't checked out and it was a character choice. But I agree, it made some scenes a little weird. It progresses with Orlando Jones, who I think is also very funny in this movie, to where they find these microorganisms on this meteor. There's water, there's shit growing on it. And this is kind of like the Prometheus moment for me, where I'm like, holy shit, guys, like put your fucking helmets on. Do not touch that shit. Because he barely reacts when he sees alien, like microorganisms in the microscope. This is like War of the Worlds. Like you do not want to be in contact with alien germs. I wish they would have played up that like a little bit more, especially for like a biology teacher. You would think they would connect that.
He eventually does, right? He freaks out and goes and grabs Orlando. I mean,
but he doesn't contain it. He just keeps it on the slide, and then when the slide breaks, he's like, "Oh shit, I'll just put it in a dish or something and let it grow."
Yeah, it might be like he doesn't quite. Of course, this isn't happening because this has never happened ever. He might be grabbing. Think, oh, there's organisms, haha. Maybe they're from the dirt. I kind of get the denial thing. I don't really know if they were going for that, but that's why I guess at first I wasn't sure if they were.
At first, yes, but they do confirm eventually that these are rapidly dividing aliens. Right. And then, you cut to Orlando Jones licking the walls to taste the alien residue as well. And then, just like Prometheus, they also had a worm scene where they're interfacing with these gross-ass flatworms, which, immediately made my skin turn inside out. There's a lot of biological horror in this movie, which I think this is like funny Prometheus to me. I think it's like the same scientific rigor and it's entertaining in a totally different way.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think it's kind of that attempt to do, you said Prometheus, but something like the intro scene of Alien or like The Thing in a funny way and not just doing a parody of it, like actually trying to make a comedy. And I totally give it credit for that. There is a couple moments in this movie that I really enjoy. Like some are absolutely hilarious. Some are like, that was a really good joke. Some are, hey, that character is really funny. And some are, why would they put that in a blockbuster movie funny? Like it's kind of ironic. We had a couple big laughs over here. So far, I'm taking note of the weird situations in movies that Julie really loves.
Okay.
During Seann William Scott season.
Okay.
In Dude, Where's My Car, she liked when Ashton Kutcher punched him in the ostrich container. Like, that was, for some reason, that was really funny.
I remember that. Okay, yeah.
Right. In this movie, it was when Seann William Scott licked the wall copying the scientists. He just kind of like wanted to seem smart, so he also licked the wall.
I missed that
too. Yeah, so right after Orlando did it.
So it's a different flavor profile for Julie. Like, it's just
it turns into knee slapping, head back, like the whole fiasco. And I really like that.
That's great.
And that's what I kind of mean about these movies is they're not super serious, but they still might appeal to a lot of people for different reasons too.
There's a lot of gags in this movie, and I think initially when we were texting about this movie, like the humor wasn't hitting for me. It was a lot of misses because I think the tone took a while for it to establish for me. But like my first genuine laugh was when Seann William Scott got hit in the nuts with a fire hose, while he was climbing the ladder.
What?
And just his reaction when it hits, like when he's doing the fireman exam and it swings down. He's like, oh God, and then like that's when it kind of flipped for me. Once the characters are starting to establish in the movie, I was much more on board, I think, with the humor. Where I was like, okay, like they're trying to be dumb here, like on purpose, and it's actually funny for a lot of this. But in the beginning, like I totally wasn't bought in. I was like, oh, screw this movie. I'm gonna hate this. Like,
I think so. I think this is gonna require a buy-in every week.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to give it its fair shake. And it's going to be mood dependent. I mean, I'm going to try and say, watch these things in a good mood.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, boss.
Some movies, some seasons we have really serious movies. And you can kind of like, today's kind of a doldrum day. I'm kind of like, ready to sit down, really analyze something. But not so, I think, this season. It's going to need to be like, you're going to have to slap yourself and wake yourself up a little bit.
I'm going to let Seann William Scott work his magic naturally on me.
The best times in this movie for me were absolutely when Seann William Scott was on the screen doing his thing. It added a lightness. I was like, ooh. And he's playing it the same way. He's playing his character well, the same way, and how I'm expecting him to. Like, he's fucking with people. It's like it seems like he's always put in a scene with somebody that we like classically identify as bad with, like the old rich white dude. It's like Seann William Swiss is the butt of he's like, why is my towel damp? And he's like, fucking dick. And then, I think this in relation to that, this movie does pay off pretty well. I think some of the script is lacking, but there are a lot of jokes in this movie that like it had to be set up well in advance. There were like 6 or 7 times in the movie where I was like, good joke.
Yeah, I feel like Seann William Scott's use in this movie is very economic and it's very high impact. It's like hearing him deliver any line in this movie, I think made me laugh. Even when he's doing like his regular pool boy customer service voice, where he's like, "Oh, sure, Mr. Johnson, let me fix you up something nice and special."
The patronizing,
kind
of like, "I've got a prank planned," or like, "I don't know how I'm gonna get you back," kind of vibe, like kind of like talking through his teeth a little bit.
Yeah, but he delivers it with so much like manic intensity behind his calm demeanor that I feel like it's really funny, and you can feel that energy building. And I feel like, as a side character, this is why he really shines, because he can lay on all his Sean sauce without worrying that it's going to be like too much for the whole movie, like when he's in a lead,
Yeah, and I like how he was kind of down, like for anything, right?
Yeah.
They're like, let's go hunt these guys. He's like, yeah. They're sitting in a diner, they're eating eggs, and then they're like, let's go find something out. And he's like, yeah. Like he was never like, oh, guys, I don't know. Is that really smart? I don't know. It's kind of fun because he didn't have a lot to lose. Like, he missed his firefighting exam because he got hit in the nuts.
Yeah.
And so he's kind of just drifting through life.
He's got
talking
nothing
about.
to lose.
I thought it was pretty relatable too. With like, he said, "Oh, I was thinking about taking some classes at the community college," and that's like a serious type of person who actually exists and is, I think, worthy of being shown in a movie. And a lot of movies don't do that. They're either just like only the scientists or only the everyday man, and it's hard to portray a character who's kind of in this in-between zone and doesn't really have a lot figured out in their life.
He's in his mid-20s. He's trying to figure it out, trying to find his place in the world, and now he knows he's going to be an alien buster, which is pretty sick.
We had the Ben verse. I think we're going to have a Swiss verse, because there could be a pretty clear line. I mean, look at this picture behind me of the tiki heads of Seann William Scott with iCarly's brother. Like,
yeah.
This character could have been straight out of Dude, Where's My Car?
Actually, yeah, you could have drawn a straight line.
Yes.
Between these two guys.
So it was filmed after the other movie. Do you think it would happen after the other movie? Like
100%.
If we're taking Seann's character?
Because this seems like he's slightly more mature. He might still smoke weed, but he's also trying to get a professional career, be like a laced up guy. He probably has to stop for a while. He's probably drug test for the fireman's exam. So he's a little more cognizant this movie, but he still likes to have a good time.
Okay.
I feel like it makes sense. Do you guys have a good Seann impression yet? Like, I know we like to try to build an impression throughout the seasons. Like, I feel like we have an impression for each season we've done.
So it was kind of difficult for me last episode to listen to myself when I was editing.
Right.
And because at the beginning of that first episode, I thought I was doing a Seann William Scott impression, but I was actually doing my Keanu impression.
Oh.
And it's different, right?
Yeah.
And I think when you think, hey, impersonate this guy who's kind of like a stoner dude, you might be like, whoa.
Yeah.
But he's not that kind of stoner.
No. He has kind of more of a manic intensity.
Yeah,
he's not like Keanu.
Jace did an oh sure bud.
Oh, yeah, it's not a whoa. It's like a whoa. It's like a flat whoa.
Oh sure, bud. Yeah, I'll take care of that.
That's pretty good.
I'll take care of that for you.
Oh sure, bud. Oh sure, bud. It's more Midwestern, isn't it?
An oh sure, bud, almost like a Canadian where they go kind of up,
rising into
up, down.
Is he Canadian?
Sure, bud. I don't know. He's from Michigan, so basically.
Where's your car, dude? Oh, I'm gonna work on it.
Yeah, a little high.
Yeah, it gets like the manic thing really it's like it's like linear. It's like and then
When he does the dude scene in the other movie, like dude. He goes, dude. You kind of want it to be like the same. Dude. What does mine say?
Yeah.
Dude, what does mine say? And right. And
yeah.
it goes like the same inflection. We're gonna get it. This is gonna be fun.
We're gonna get it.
I have to give a shout out because, one of my favorite movies of all time is George in the Jungle. And the Tookie. Get the attention of the dinosaur.
I think that might be a Seannism.
George of the Jungle.
My prediction is that we're gonna hear that again.
The George of a Jungle quote?
It might be. I think it literally might be a number on the Seannometer.
Do you think he does that more than once?
I think so.
Okay, we'll look out for it. He didn't do it in Dudes
so
Towards My Car.
This is our cue.
Okay.
This is our cue.
We'll run it back.
At least it's caw. I think he does that.
Now we're moving to Gold Coast.
I remember him doing something like caw.
It does feel very...
Yeah, the animal noises. I feel like he makes a lot. Do you guys remember that scene where the crazy soldier is reaching for his gun when he sees David Duchovny's character, and he's like, "Oh, you're Dr. Ira," and he starts, and then they pull him away, and he said something about you ruined my life.
You were
my worst 4 months of my life.
Yeah,
and he said this guy had me in diapers for a month, and I'm like, oh, what's the payoff? And it never.
Yeah, it does. It's the
Iron Madness.
Yeah.
Or the Kane Madness.
Oh, that's what it... Okay. I thought he did something to this dude, personally. So that's what it was.
Well, he did give him an experimental vaccine that made him shit himself for a month.
Can we talk about this? That's what it is. That's what my note means, you guys. That's what my note means. I said, LOL, anti-vaccine, conservatives should love it. So that's what it was. Because... there's a whole bit where he gives a vaccine to a bunch of soldiers, an experimental vaccine, and it messes everything up. It makes them poop themselves. It's kind of the comedic part of it. But a bunch of other terrible stuff like blindness and stuff.
And madness and memory loss.
Before the pandemic, that was kind of the lore about vaccine experiments. It's just when they do trials, they could lie to you. They could make something go really bad. They might not disclose how bad the side effects are. And it was kind of played for comedic effect. I don't think we're getting any more of those scenes.
Yeah, I mean, this was during a time where anti-vax groups were not really in the American mainstream. Even amongst the American conservative movement, people weren't really anti-vax, not widespread like they are now.
Right, and even the whole autism fiasco, that was later than this.
Was this pre Jenny McCarthy, Jim Carrey pushing anti-vax shit? Yeah, I think at this time it was just kind of he's just they're military. I didn't even connect the anti-vax.
Well, a lot of the people in the military in this movie, they're of the older generation. Mm-hmm. It's probably something that goes back to polio. That's going to be something for a lot of people, almost 25 years ago that are watching this and are polio vaccine. Okay, maybe that's where I know it from the big drive to get everybody inoculated.
What'd you think about the courtroom scene, Ryan? I always want your analysis
it's kind of funny
as a man of.
It was kind of interesting because like they weren't. It was a motion hearing. It was like an oral argument for some sort of motion.
Yeah.
I was surprised they got in the courtroom that quickly. Like there was no other scenes. It was just like, we're going to sue you. And then they sued him.
Yeah.
But they obviously weren't at trial because they used the word deposition. I'm going to depose him. And usually that's not done in front of the judge right then. It's if you get on the stand and testify in front of the judge, you would do that in like a trial scenario, not like in a pretrial scenario. So that was kind of weird. So really that scene should have not been actually in a courtroom.
It felt out of place, and I feel like it was just a setup for the gag of where she just lists off the symptoms
yeah.
of what happened. It did feel weird, even just as like a non-court guy. I was like, oh, I don't know. But this movie kind of builds along with the creatures in the movie. Like the stakes kind of grow with the creatures. I think the designs, like you guys said, was pretty sick. I really liked the scene where they sneak into this facility where they have like the crabs, and they're like, oh yeah, just snag one real quick, and he's like, snag one, and he's facing the other way, he's eating, and he's like trying to grab it.
I thought they had a really good rapport.
Yeah,
and Orlando Jones is a really great like physical actor, and his delivery on lines like that, like the kind of pointing out the crazy, though the lines that he has like that, I think he does a really good job.
And that kind of builds to the fly scene, which I remember from the trailer. Like,
oh my God.
That fucking scarred me. Seeing the skin, it was like the scarabs from The Mummy. And he has that line where he's like, cut me open, there goes your Christmas present, Judas, which I fucking love.
His banter in that scene with the doctors and stuff was actually pretty good too. And it was quick-witted, and it wasn't coming from a character like maybe Seann William Scott, who you wouldn't expect to be like quick-witted in that scenario, but it was from like a funny college professor. And so his like little, like he understood the medical terms like instantly and was able to quip on them. Yeah. I thought that built and paid off for the character a lot. And that whole ice cream thing.
I don't care what flavor it is. It's for my ass.
And I wanted to bring this back to my colonoscopy story.
Oh, boy.
They put
that's
ice
basically
cream
what
in
it was
your ass?
like. No, remember, I woke up.
Yeah.
Oh.
And you were
very
like,
confused.
Ice cream? Oh, I see. Yeah. They didn't put him out at all.
They didn't put him
I also like the scene where he's like, no, don't take the leg. And they're like, oh, it's heading up to the testicles. He's like, take the leg. Take the leg.
That whole scene's gold. I love him being held down. And he's just being like consoled, like breathe. It's like,
and
you're
the
doing
characters
great,
around,
buddy. You're doing great.
They like totally changed their roles around him too. Like even Julianne Moore's character, where it's like it's totally changed from hostile to being like, okay, we're all in this together. Which is it kind of turns for this movie. They all become like a crew after that moment.
I mean, I can understand why. Trauma bonding.
And at this point, the aliens make their way out onto the town, and you have that pug scene, which I remember from the commercials as well. How much was this in this fucking commercial? You have also like the country club guy who got eaten, which I thought was a pretty funny scene. Like Seann William Scott, I just feel like his reaction to the country club thing was really great, where he was just like, he's like, yeah, some guy got eaten. He was a major douchebag, but doesn't make it right. Anyways, we chased this sucker across the fairway. And I like how he just integrated in. Yeah.
Yeah, and exactly. And like the fact that scene ended up being really important. I think in a lesser movie, there would be those cutaway scenes that didn't matter at all. But all the times we saw the aliens coming up in the country club, it paid off later when we learned that Seann William Scott was actually like tracking that stuff and was paying attention to it and was going to bring it to the attention of the scientists. And that's the only way they can really access the phenomenon, because there's a quarantine zone around the meteor site. And so when it shows up at the country club through the water system, whatever, they're like, oh, sweet, this is our way in. And that was really interesting. And I'm glad our boy, he got the role of being the person who kind of connected up the dots.
I thought it was interesting that when he shot the dog thing, he thought to go to the community college scientist. And at first I was like, why would someone draw a line to do that? To just contact the local bio department. But I forgot that he actually met them beforehand when his car got destroyed. So I think it ties it all together. Like it's kind of an airtight plot.
Yes, there are no flaws in this movie.
So no flaws. It's fucking perfect.
2003's Evolution, or 2001's Evolution. Flawless movie.
Yeah.
Citizen Kane, step aside.
And this kind of movie builds, like, I thought a really America moment was when they they raid the local Westfield mall and then just pull out a bunch of shotguns that were unattended. Yeah. And then no one's concerned about the 3 guys with shotguns in the mall just unloading the air to like shoot this pterodactyl thing.
Hard to be concerned about 3 dudes with shotguns when there's a pterodactyl flying around.
But that's true.
The pterodactyl picking up the shoplifter, you get that scene, you're always like, oh, she was stealing all that stuff. She gets yanked down. I was like, huh.
I like the implication that she thought the dinosaur was the security.
Yeah.
What? And she was like, I'll never steal again. It's like, no, that's not what was happening. It wasn't punishing you.
You didn't hear about the new dinosaur task force this city hired, where you'll be lifted 60 feet in the air and people will have to shoot it down to stop it from eating you. I did like Orlando Jones, like his reaction where she's like, I'll never shoplift again. And he's like, good. Yeah. And then he like walks away and doesn't explain anything.
I liked his like the straight play of he's like, I'm with the US Geological Services, like every time. And the police officers like that are something? Like technical. Yes. Like anytime something is mentioned to them that sounds like scientific at all, they're like, go ahead.
Right. And I like the implication that like they're from the community college. So that joke was made a lot of time that the CDC people in the army were kind of dumping on them. But then you find they're like respected members of the community. And the city actually really does like the community college. Even the judge went there. And I liked jokes like that. And that even though the police didn't know that he was totally faking, he had no authority, they respected the thoughtfulness of scientists.
Yeah, it was like the local scientist. You're like, oh yeah, like that's Bill, the biologist.
That's who we should have in charge of making these decisions.
Yeah, what a world.
Well, and this was and the trench coats, you know.
Trench coats looked sick. I also like when they were talking about the geological survey thing and they go over the credentials. Like Seann William Scott comes right after them and he's like, I took some chemistry in high school.
Dude, that after was a great joke.
Introduces himself. Wait, do you guys remember the periodic table scene in this movie where they like look at a carbon life form and make like an L shape and they're like, oh, that's why arsenic's poison? Like maybe I saw this on FX. I remember this scene, and as a kid, like I didn't know it was a joke. Like I was like, does it work like that? Like, can you just draw a fucking L? And I mean, I guess most of those elements are poisonous anyways. I guess that would work in almost any pattern. But like drawing the L to find out selenium is like arsenic to these nitrogen-based life forms, I thought was really funny.
No, I know what you mean, Danelle. I thought about the same thing, and I thought my memory of this movie was that they were like silicon-based.
That would make more sense, I think, chemically.
Because it has the same 4 chains or whatever.
Yeah.
And but I do actually have a memory of as a kid thinking about this movie when I looked at the periodic table for the first time. I was like, oh, remember the aliens and evolution? They were like on this. So that's funny that you mentioned that, because I thought that was something that was totally like nobody else would have latched onto it.
I feel like scenes like that in this movie could actually make kids or the general public be interested in the periodic table.
Yeah.
Where they're like, there's a directional component to it. Like, wow, it's not just a list. Which is true. Like, there is a directional aspect about it, but you're talking about like
we
fucking
should have
atom lengths and
a
shit.
Seann William Scott movie about every field of science. We've got biology and space.
We got toxicology, which was the last episode.
I've got, maybe a geologic/archaeologic one.
Really?
In the chamber.
We've got social studies.
One thing that was interesting about this, because they said they have the shampoo thing, right? Like it was in the Head and Shoulders shampoo, which has selenium, which is a famous like antifungal, like anti-dandruff component of shampoo. Did you guys read that thing that Head and Shoulders at the time did not have a selenium containing shampoo?
Really?
And it was only after this movie they introduced Head and Shoulders Intensive Care, which had selenium in it. It was only Selsun Blue.
Huh.
But did somebody at Head and Shoulders watch this movie and be like, that was a really good idea?
It literally was, because they did cross promotion when this movie came out. Head and Shoulders was like, oh, we're going to capitalize on this. And then they made a literal selenium containing product.
I feel like we need to, for anybody who hasn't seen the movie, they're like, why are we talking about Head and Shoulders? We talked about, you just mentioned it a little bit, but no, like literally in this movie, they go, 80 of the 90 minutes have passed.
Yes.
And they're like, we're in a hole we can't dig ourselves out of. Maybe if we find some way to get a lot of selenium, it might be poisonous to the aliens. Because like the periodic table like you talked about. And then, in one of the most sideways jokes I've ever seen in any movie ever, the two dumb characters say, hey, you know that real world product that's, very well famous and known by its entire name, Head and Shoulders, the anti-dandruff shampoo? And everybody's like, yes, tell me more about Unilever's Head and Shoulders anti-dandruff shampoo. And they're like, well, it contains selenium. How do you think our hair got so nice and flake-free? And then everybody in the room is like, yes, we will now use Head and Shoulders to defeat the aliens.
Yeah, they put it into a fire truck and spray it out of a hose.
This is literally what happened. I'm not skipping a scene. Like, that's literally how it happened.
I feel like it was a pilot program for native advertising. Like, this is the new future of product placement where it's like integrated into the story.
The only other way I've seen that is like in Wayne's World when they're like, product placement, and it's so lame. And they like show their Reeboks.
The next one was in Transformers 4 when the Bud Light car explodes and all the Bud Lights come rolling. And in the middle of the action sequence, Mark Wahlberg picks up the Bud Light like label out and cracks it open. He's like, and then keeps shooting.
Are you joking?
No, that's a scene in the movie.
Oh, Jesus.
We gotta do a Transformers season. I feel like this was an interesting thing. I'm glad it didn't catch on, but just doing it once was really funny.
Yeah, and it almost would have been better if someone looked at the camera and was like, Head and Shoulders.
Yeah, I guess
because
it was
because I wasn't sure. Like, I wasn't sure whether they were making a joke. Like, everybody knows Head and Shoulders has selenium in it, so therefore we can just name this product.
But they were wrong.
It was organized. Like the people of this movie like directed. I'm just so confused. I don't know how it happened.
Because those characters were wrong too. If we had listened to them in real life, we would have all died. Because it's only Selsun Blue that has selenium.
Oh yeah.
But like
Selsun Blue is expensive as shit though.
It is.
Then why would they say it? Like, this seems like a time travel thing. Like, time travel's real, and the one thing they did is they're like, he became a writer for like 2 Hollywood movies, and he was like, yeah, you know how Head and Shoulders has selenium in it? And they're like, okay, let's write that in the script. And then the people at Head and Shoulders only find out that they should put selenium in it from this movie.
Yeah, they bootstrapped it.
So it's a time loop. That's what it seems like.
It also at the same time, it's probably like Selsun Blue isn't really good joke.
Name recognition.
Head and Shoulders is. And then, Harry Block got his head and shoulders sucked up into the alien's butt. So, maybe that was the payoff.
That's true. That's true. He did get his head and shoulders sucked up there. That's a good point.
Not bad.
Yeah, they shoot the selenium up the starfish's giant butthole. We should backpedal. There's the military wants to napalm the aliens, right? And they find out that fire makes them grow like crazy. In a hilarious scene where they just flick a match and it randomly hits the petri dish perfectly, and the petri dish goes crazy. A giant starfish being emerges out of the catacombs, and it's like the size of Godzilla. And has a one fart hole, just like all of the creatures do throughout all of this being's evolution. And they drive this fire truck filled with Head and Shoulders shampoo. Somehow they've emptied like 1 million bottles into this thing over the period of 4 hours. I don't think this town has that type of supply chain where they can have that much shampoo.
Similarly, I mean, I'm not well versed in fire truck, but that didn't look like the type of fire truck that has like a liquid storage container. Like, it looked like the one that has to hook up directly to, like, a fire hydrant and then route the water, which...
Well. Look at Mr. Science over here.
I mean,
I'm sure... thrown out the window at a Hollywood writing session.
No. There was you guys saw, like, when the truck was going, there was a hose trailing behind, and the hose was connected to Head and Shoulders factory, and it was into a vat. All they needed to do was connect a hose straight to the factory, and they were spraying it. Do you guys think their pumps would handle something as viscous as shampoo, too? Something that was designed for water?
Can't tell you.
Yeah, I was wondering that. I was wondering if they would, like, thin it out. I mean, effectively making it less potent.
That's too much time, though, right?
But I don't really know. Like, I feel like the joke is that, chemicals get absorbed really quickly into your bloodstream if it goes through your butthole.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Don't do this, people.
But...
Only under doctor supervision should you do a butt chug.
Like, I'd probably die if I butt chugged.
I think doesn't a lot of people die from that? Like, I heard it's not. I think Jackass really like. Wait, does arsenic do that to people when they eat it? Do they explode?
Deflate and explode. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Some things cause you to explode. Like cyanide causes you to explode a little bit.
Yeah. Do you remember that that Keanu episode where we found out that Keanu Reeves one time said he believes in spontaneous combustion?
Well, he should.
I think he was in his 20s, and he said he's like, yep,
spontaneous combustion is real.
Spontaneous combustion? What?
Ryan's fascination with the X-Files and conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
No, spontaneous combustion is real.
Spontaneous combustion isn't real. People fall asleep with cigarettes on them.
He's seen it. They always say they've seen it.
No, I've seen it. Are you talking about...
You've seen a man explode.
No, you're talking about spontaneous human combustion.
Yes, of course I am. Jesus, Ryan.
No, that's the word human is doing an operative thing in there.
Because when someone says spontaneous combustion, they're not talking about like a gas fire. They're talking about a human exploding.
No, you're talking about spontaneous human combustion. Because I've seen spontaneous combustion. Just
of
poof,
course.
right there. What do you mean, of course?
When someone says UFOs, they're talking about fucking aliens. They're not talking about an experimental plane they saw once.
That is true. I'm gonna have to agree with Denali on this one. Where the mind goes when somebody says spontaneous combustion is those History Channel shows where it's a burnt out couch.
Like I've seen it.
It's real though. I was in the woods once.
Yeah.
Stack of leaves, just boom, caught on fire.
Was there a guy in it?
No.
Were the leaves
smoking?
smoking?
About that?
It was spontaneous.
A cigarette? Marlboro?
It was giant pile. I'm being 100% serious. I'm not joking at all. I've seen spontaneous combustion. And I was with my grandpa. I was like, what is happening over there? Grandpa, look at that. And he's like, yeah, that's spontaneous combustion. It happens out here. I was like, what the fuck?
I mean, I'm sure it was like a static charge or maybe a cigarette.
Dry fissile materials, in the heat and sun. Yeah.
But humans generally don't explode. They did a Mythbusters episode about this where they were like, oh, there was a guy who was like alcoholic and he had so much alcohol in his system that when he lit a cigarette, he exploded. That just seems like one of those like 1800s myths.
Like pop rocks too.
Yeah, they just explode. Oh man, I want to if we ever get Keanu on the show, I want to ask him about that quote and see if he still believes in it. And he like even said where he was like, it happens to people all the time.
I don't know. Those photos are pretty convincing. Don't write it off, okay?
All right, should we get into our shinometers?
Definitely, we're way too far.
Yeah, let's do this. Ryan, do you want to explain what the deal is?
Yeah, our Seanometer is going to be a rating of how Seann William Scott this movie was. And that,
wait, do we change the order based on the movies?
But you just told me to explain it, and I'll do so.
Okay, sorry. Please keep continuing. Yeah.
So every week we have two different meters. The first meter is how well this movie comports with our theme, and the second one is how we actually think of it as a movie itself. But our theme can be based on various different things. And essentially, when you think of a Seann William Scott movie, what sort of qualities leap out to you? And does this movie have them? So last week we watched Dude, Where's My Car? Pretty quintessential, if I may say so. And this week, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, so for my shinometer, I was thinking about this because Seann William Scott is a supporting character in this. Unlike Dude, Where's My Car, where he is a lead. So the volume of Seann in this movie was a little low, but his deployment was great. Mm-hmm. He was slathered on that Seann sauce, and it really worked in these scenes. He brought that zany energy, and he's very reactive in his scenes. He's reacting to everything around him, which is typical, both physically and verbally. So it's going to get some points there. He was also pretty shibby here, so I'm going to actually give him another point for that as well. He does do those, like Jace has a still of it behind him. He does the Seann William Scott face that he just did where his mouth's open and his eyebrows are cocked. So I think that this is a pretty Seann William Scott performance, but I don't know if it's necessarily a Swiss movie, if you know what I'm saying. So I'm debating on this. This is tough because I really do think this is a good showcase of him. But if you're a Swiss fan, is this a movie that you'd necessarily see? So I think I'm going to give it a 7. It's going to dock a couple points off, but overall, well done. Well done, my boy Swiss.
Yeah, let me just say, I prefer my movie witches with Swiss cheese.
He's laying on that cheese.
I'm straight out of the gate. I'm going to give it an 8. I think the volume was lower. I do agree with a comment Ryan made last week that, we're kind of expecting this of him, but he is kind of quintessentially 2000s comedy era, like almost expect him to be. in the type of role. And he did it. And I really enjoyed his performance whenever he was in the movie. I thought he was bringing up the comedy for me. Solid performance.
Yeah, I agree with you. Now, my gut score was going to be 6, but that was because I thought I was going to like champion for him. But now that you guys are on board too, I think I could go with a 7. I think I might land on a 7 because a couple things I want to talk about is that he was on the cover of this movie. That's important to me. Like he doesn't need to be the main person, but he needs to be on the cover. And then he's in the credits, guys. He's like, they do David Duchovny, Orlando Jones, Seann William Scott. He's number 3. Julianne Moore does get an and credit, which is technically higher in the list. But I like that about him. You guys hit the things about the quantity, I think, perfect. My biggest qualm is that he is not really like a badass womanizer. And when I think of him, I kind of have that sort of attribute. Like he's kind of the cool dude of the group. And in this, there's a couple lines when he said like, yeah, I took a couple chemistry classes. That was funny. But I need more of that vibe, like the overly confident vibe, and not like the maybe questioning himself because he knows he doesn't know a lot vibe. So I think I would be very happy giving him a 7.
All right, a 7. That's interesting what you said. Like, he does kind of give off a little bit of like a frat guy vibe. And I think almost literally for some of these movies too, a sense of confidence. But I also appreciate him in moments where he seems insecure, because I feel like he gives off such a charming presence when he's feeling vulnerable in these scenes. And I think he owns that well too. But now it's time for our movie meters, where we rate what we actually think about these dang movies. And this one I was thinking about a lot. So I mentioned last episode when we picked this movie, my first experience was in Blockbuster trying to rent this, and my mom said, "Don't rent that movie. It's fucking stupid." And she is right. It is a stupid movie. But I was entertained throughout the movie. I mentioned that I didn't like it at first, but it kind of won me over time with its humor and its like self-awareness, I guess. It's not a perfect movie. I feel like there are some misses with its jokes and maybe some pacing issues towards the end where they're trying to like problem solve this thing. But overall, it's a pretty tight comedy. It's pretty pretty enjoyable. I think it has a lot of rewatchability because of like the jokes and the payoffs that are in it. I do wish there was like a little more science in terms of like evolution, where they talk about maybe pressures that make these aliens turn into certain things. Like I feel like just a couple details there could elevate the rest of the movie. It's not a big deal, but it is like a slight sticking point. I feel like there's some misconceptions about evolution as a concept where people think traits just randomly arise, and then you got all the creationists talking about it. But overall, entertaining movie. I actually remember the cartoon spinoff on Fox Kids. Do you guys ever watch that? The Evolution,
Nope.
Alienators, Evolution Continues. It's a very, it ran for one season. There's 25 episodes. They're all on YouTube. If you guys ever want to check that out, it stars the same characters and they're busting aliens. All right. It's a great series. I used to watch it. But anyways, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this is like a good quality movie, but I guess I had fun watching it for the most part. So I'm going to give it like a 6.5.
Huh.
I think that's generous for this movie, and probably more than it got in the box office and the critics.
That seems like very chill, very fair. What's up? Damn. I'm kind of neutral. I don't think this movie it's not like a stunner. It was funny, but it was also unfunny at points. Like I think the script was a little bit lacking, and David Duchovny really wasn't hitting for me. Like I think he and Orlando Jones had good chemistry sometimes, and then sometimes the jokes just weren't like allowing that relationship for me to think it was funny. But this movie also had an insane amount of like set and scene changes. It seems like a lot went into this. You watch it and it has an essence of a B movie, but it feels like it was really also carefully crafted, and there was just like more thought in this movie than some of the other ones we've watched. I thought the CGI, the mix of like CGI, like it kind of holds up. It holds up for like a shitty movie. Like you're like, oh, okay,
it's not that bad. Yeah.
So I think, like I said earlier, one of my biggest gripes was like people calling a frog-looking dog like, "Oh, look at the dog," and like the, "Oh, look at that bird," because it kind of gives a sense of we didn't hand the product to the CGI team until all the acting was done. But that's just like a little minor personal gripe. And again, I really liked Seann in his vapid doofus role, helps move the plot forward. I thought some of the jokes were pretty smart, so I'm gonna go straight down the middle at a 5 as kind of maybe I would recommend this movie if you're not doing anything on a Sunday, but not great and not bad.
Man, I wish I remembered what I gave Dude, Where's My Car?
A 7.
I think I gave Dude, Where's My Car a 7. And I want to say this one is just like a tick under that. And the reason being, I don't know why this movie isn't funnier. I love the kind of like the tone of it. I love that it's science-based. Denali, I might push back on the idea that it needs to have an explanation scene a little bit because I like that it assumes the audience knows because that's very hopeful. And it might turn into too much of like a disaster movie, end of the world movie if they did that, right?
But they were still wrong, though.
There was one scene where they were like, "Oh, it's going to take over the U.S. in 7 days." And that was as close to like a disaster movie we got. But I think a 6 is really fair. My favorite parts of this movie are the things I remembered as a kid. Like the butt scene with the alien going under his skin. That was pretty funny. The head and shoulders bit, pretty funny. Focusing entirely on Seann William Scott kind of made the movie drag a little bit when he wasn't on screen. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe if you had the main characters not be so normal, maybe make them be a little bit funnier. They're sometimes a little bit too serious. I think you could pump the joke density up, make it a little bit more lighthearted, and I could see this being like a cult classic. Unfortunately, it's kind of in that middle ground territory where like it's rewatchable for sure. I've seen this movie like 5 times, but it's not something where the jokes are repeated, kind of like in a remember this one movie? I'm going to say this reference and you're going to get it. Like it's a little too obscure because I honestly just don't think it's funny enough. So I love this movie. I would recommend people watch it totally. But unfortunately, I have to totally understand that it's not a perfect movie. I think I'm going to go with 6.
I have a question. At some point, we're going to have to talk, I don't know about in the next movie, about how many times there's like a music video scene.
A music video scene?
Yeah.
Was there one in this movie?
They had a scene, I think, I guess, towards the credits where they were driving in the Jeep doing like a music video
yes,
bit.
They were, and then Dudes, Where's My Car? They did have like a whole sequence.
Yeah.
Where they're like, they have all the money.
Oh, yeah.
That could be a portion of the
Is that a
meter.
Seann William Scott thing, or is that like a 2000s buddy comedy thing?
I think a 2000s buddy comedy thing, but...
Do you think that's entirely overlap? Did I just describe the same thing in 2 different ways?
Yeah, I think that's the Venn diagram there is pretty close. There are very few Seann William Scott movies that are not 2000 comedies, but not a bad score for this movie. And Ryan, you mentioned kind of the humor in this movie. I do think it was reminiscent of like that kind of, it's dated not because of the content, but because of how it's delivered, where it's kind of this pre-ironic humor where It's very wet. And, I think for people in the future, maybe it's not as funny, and just because our humor tastes have changed, kind of like how every generation there's another layer of irony that gets added on to jokes. So seeing something so naked sometimes can just be a total miss for us.
And I think mostly that's like Adam McKay's fault with
right.
Step Brothers and things like Anchorman and Superbad and stuff like that. Like the hit comedies from the next 7 or 8 years. The jokes are in your face. Where you laugh at the characters on screen because they're total idiots. Whereas this movie is a kind of a sophisticated comedy almost.
It's for nerds. It's for science people.
Yeah.
Like us. But if you folks at home have any opinions about evolution, feel free to slide into our DMs and let us know. Let us know what you think about this movie and about our review. And you can find us wherever you get social media besides Twitter, because we aren't active on that anymore. Because Twitter's dead to us.
Yep.
So, Jace, you got the movie pick for next week.
I do.
I feel like I know what you're... I decoded your... But please tell... I want to know if I'm right.
I've got the movie pick for next week.
Is it a Christopher Walken thing?
And it's going to be a movie that does have Christopher Walken build number 3. It's got our man, Seann William Scott, build number 2. very important to Ryan. And then
it's not bad. Not a bad impression.
The number one actor on the list is Dwayne The Rock Johnson. A very rock movie. We're going to be watching The Rundown. This is a movie that, to me, is like Sahara. It's something that I hold very dear to my heart. A little bit of thunder and a little bit of lightning.
So please don't shit on it.
Or I will be very angry.
Jason, I didn't know you were a Rundown fan.
Oh, dude, I fucking love this movie.
That's interesting. I mean, that's really interesting.
I probably
you didn't make a comment when I listed it.
I was trying to keep that contained.
Okay, that's awesome. Well, that makes me happy. I've never seen it.
Hesitant about like movies where our lead is a minor role, but like, you know, I'm kind of getting okay with it with Seann William Scott, and he's definitely like, when I think about this movie, he's filling that role.
Okay.
This was also on FX a lot, The Rundown, because I remember every time I would watch another movie, and they're like, up next, The Rundown. And I'm like, I don't want to. I never saw it because I always changed the channel. I never gave it a chance. But now's my chance.
What year was
I feel like this is all 2000.
2003. Dude,
this dude never stopped working.
Seann William Scott was like 2003.
He was in like 7 different movies. Like he was changing out of his fireman outfit and putting on like a safari outfit for this movie. This guy's one of the best working actors of all time. But join us next week for the rundown in the Seann Shack. Let us know what you think about Seann, and if you have any Seann movies you'd like us to watch,
or Seann anecdotes,
Shanecdotes. But is there anything you guys have been enjoying this week, these past few weeks on GBGB Enjoys?
Yeah, there's this new TV show I've been watching.
Yeah.
I just watched one episode. I just got it. It's called Last of Us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been on to that.
Yeah, you finally saw it.
Seen one episode and can't wait.
Mushroom meter? What are you at?
Not a lot.
Not a lot in the first episode, huh?
Not a lot.
Long stem, huge cap.
Yeah. It's a big mushroom, I guess. Yeah. I've been enjoying another podcast called If Books Could Kill. This has one of. I know. Look, there is no crossover between these podcasts. It's about people who read books. Okay, I know our audience is just
not that type of person.
Not that This has one of the co-hosts from the 5 to 4 podcast, which I also really enjoy. They're basically just taking apart like airport books, where it's it's like books that are pseudo-intellectual, like Freakonomics or Outliers, where people read them to seem like they're smart, and just talking about like the shitty statistics that they use and the wild, sometimes super problematic conclusions they can draw. So it's called If Books Could Kill. It's also really funny that I've been enjoying. You enjoy anything, Jace? It's okay. We all have hard times. And sometimes we don't like anything.
I feel like February and the start of March coasted by. I'm actually, I'm gonna get outside here after the end of this. I'm enjoying that the days are getting longer.
Yeah,
enjoying being outside.
Tell me about it. Getting some sunlight back, and we're headed towards the equinox. And the days of 110 degrees are upon me.
Oh yeah, you're gonna. Yeah. So, sorry, bud.
This nice period of 60 degrees was great for a while.
You basically have to live like cavemen did, because it's like when it's cold as balls, you're like, it's 40 degrees in my house. And then when it's hot as balls, it's 115 degrees in your house.
Yes. I have like a neck fan, so I can like convince myself that I'm like maybe cold from the head up.
Oh, can you put like ice next to it? Like an ice pack?
Yeah, that's what I do. That's what I do at my job. I ice it up with a neck fan, and I get starts a lot of convos when I'm an extra. People see the neck fan, they're like, are those headphones? And I talk to them. And then
they're like, hey, did you see that dweeb with a neck fan?
Sometimes I have a crowd around me asking me about the neck fan, all right?
I'm sure you have a crowd of people who love the neck fan.
They think I'm fucking cool, man. All right, making Hollywood connections. Thank you guys for joining us. Do we want to do make a Seannism, popcorn style?
Sure.
To close us out?
Yes, and...
Okay.
I'm not allowed to say no.
I guess I'll start. That's right. Thank you, Jace. Good improv partner. Never
shoot
coasters
with
electrical
rubber band.
Is that one word? Okay, it's okay. I'll allow it. Turkeys,
or else
they
will
evolve.
There we go. That's good. That makes sense, right?
Thematic.
Yeah.
Full
thematic.
Circle.
Yeah.
Never shoot coasters with
electrical rubber band
turkeys, or they will evolve.
That sort of makes sense. It feels like an AI wrote a movie.